Okay, I want to share with you, we're going to do addition of fractions here, and I want to share with you a method that I have learned that's much easier than the normal method for adding fractions. Okay, and it comes from a book called Junior Undiscovered Math Prodigy, or Jump Math. And this was designed for homeschool children or for parents who wanted to work with their children and help them succeed in math. And the book that I happen to have here is the 6th grade edition. These books are $17.95, and the ISBN number is right here, 978 088 78 794. They're $17.99. There's one for each grade level. So if you have a child that's just started first grade, you can get a jump book for first grade math, which would be wonderful. And then it costs you $17.95, and it's all the math that they're going to want to need for particular grade levels. It shows a variety of different strategies, but what I want to show you and deal with would be fractions. And one of the first things that it does is it gives you some introduction to fractions, and it reviews looking at shaded areas and representing those as fractions. And then it gives you a sheet that will show, let me zoom in here a little bit, fractions that have common denominators to add. Okay, and what I'm going to talk about is fractions that have different denominators, such as 1/4 plus 1/3. Okay, now what I'm going to do here, let's tune this up a little bit. That's kind of fuzzy. Okay, all right, 1/4 plus 1/3. Typically, I would represent this by doing 1/4 times something equals something, and 1/3 times something equals something. Now, these bars represent the division bar, and the fraction would have a numerator and denominator for each piece. Okay, so what I want to do then is I want to find a denominator for 4 and 12. And I can find the least common denominator, but I can always find a denominator by multiplying those two together, which would give me a 12. Okay, then to find out what this number is here, I would say 4 times something is 12, and that would be 3. And the only thing that I could multiply here and cause no change or give me an equivalent fraction would be something in the form of 1. So if I knew that this was a 3, then that meant the numerator also had to be 3. Likewise here, my denominator's 4, so the numerator has to be the same thing. Then I multiply across the numerators, and I have 3. My denominators I already took care of. My numerator here is a 4. So basically I have, this fraction really is 3/12 plus 4/12. Okay, now think about that. 1/4 is the same thing as 3/12. 1/3 is the same thing as 4/12. So when I add those together, I have 7/12. Okay, so this is typically the way that I always used to teach addition of fractions. Now, while we're going to be doing the same thing, the concept of doing jump fractions is actually much easier. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we are simply going to take, for this fraction, we're going to put a multiplication sign on each side, and I need to put a fraction here, and I need to put a fraction here. Well, real simply, this fraction over here would be the other number. So if we're talking about this one, so I go to the other one to get the number. That's a 3. Then this one is 3, so I go over to the other number and get 4. And we remember these have to be the same. So then this part right here really is 3 times 1 is 3. 4 times 3 is 12. Plus 4 times 1 is 4 plus 12. And then when I add together here, I get 7 over 12. Now, at no point in time did I have to worry about what the common denominator was. I simply looked at the opposite number. So let's do another one. 1/5 plus 2/3. Okay? So, for this 5, so I put a 3 over here, the opposite one. This one is 3, so I go over here and put the 5. Okay, then across the top, 3 times 1 is 3, but 3 times 5 is 15. 2 times 5 is 10, 3 times 5 is 15. Then when I add, 10 plus 3 is 13 fifteenths. Now remember, when we add fractions, our denominators stay the same. Think about pizza. I have 3 pieces of a pizza cut in 15 pieces. I add 10 pieces of a pizza cut in 15 pieces. I end up with 13 pieces of a pizza cut in 15 pieces. And that's always the easiest way to see why we don't add fractions, fraction denominators. But that makes it much more simple than finding common denominators. We're actually doing the common denominator, and we can talk about what that is. What we end up getting when we do this piece here is a common denominator. Not always the least one, but is a common one that can be used.